So
I
before
wanted to 55.
everybody gets
So I
up,
just knew
I
what happened.
want to do just a little pitch for SDGA events coming up. There aren't many. And then I did not hand out satisfaction surveys. We usually ask for a feedback survey, so I'm going to do a show of hands thing, unlike the SB2 towns. So let me quickly tell you, we're trying something new next Tuesday, not this coming one, in 10 days. We're having a webinar that Arthur's going to lead for how to navigate the new Department of Education data portal. If you haven't had a chance, it's actually pretty cool. And Arthur will walk you through it. It's online. We have the Zoom now. We have teleconferencing, which is awesome. And that announcement's going to be sent. It's been in our agendas, but it's going to be sent out tomorrow if I can help it. March 23rd, we have a relationship between money and results in this room. That's a Saturday morning in March. Our speaker is Jamie Gass from the Pioneer Institute. He's done a fantastic job in the past, so we're looking forward to good things. April 20th, Jorge is going to talk about the nuts and bolts of budgets. And then please save the date for our annual general meeting, May 18th. That's the third Saturday in May, and that's also in this room. It's going to be a little longer than just till noon. We're going to have a speaker. You know what? I don't have it written down here, but we already identified the speaker, blanking on it. So that, and it'll be in our newsletters. If you are not yet getting newsletters, you will, assuming we have your email address, and if you don't, please give it to me. If you have a
You talk about Word.
get your email address there. And if not, please give me a email address where you can actually get in there, get in the website, and be able to subscribe online. All right, so I was gonna ask our three speakers, to give like a 1 minute wrap up something, any statement that you want, and then I'm gonna ask for, how much everybody loves you.
Might as well. Now that the side camera's off.
There's some houses for sale in Boston.
Webster, Salisbury,
Move up, join us.
Marvin.
Bill, you wanna start?
Sure, I'll be very quick. Thank you for having me. This has been fun. When you're on the school board, there's nothing to be afraid of. If people lie to you, you gotta call them to it. You have an obligation to all the stakeholders, which is not just the kids, it's the taxpayers and the fiduciary obligation of your board. So if you see a process that you don't like, call them out on it. And I gotta say, I really like the presentation for Manchester. It's very much like ours. It's a little clearer actually, but it's the same kind of thing. And as far as the only change I would make was I put your checkbook as one of the agenda items. We actually have line items agenda, and the information is presented before the meeting is had. So townspeople can actually look and see what we're going to talk about and have the material in front of them too, instead of having to find it out in the minutes afterwards. So other than that, yeah, we don't seem to have really any of the governance problems that you certainly faced, and maybe you do in Manchester.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone as well. I mean, it's been very intuitive. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of my stories. I think the important takeaway here is that use Wyndham as an example. I mean, you can change things, and matter of fact, both myself and I have to give credit to Ken Iron, because it was the two of us that led that charge, but we were able to drop our tax rate $3 a thousand, and at the same time have some of the highest test scores. Matter of fact, when my last year, this past year, we had the highest SAT scores in the history, So you're really, at the end of the day, by doing these things, and they are your fiduciary responsibilities. You want to talk about, oh, well, it's the kids, it's the kids, it's the kids. It is the kids, and we did it. And it's not always about money, it's about transparency, and just pulling that curtain back, and just, ripping the Band-Aid off and seeing the uncomfortable truths, but addressing those uncomfortable truths and making them positive and turning things around. And that's what we were able to do in our district. And so I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to share some of those stories with you guys, and I hope that and wish you guys the best in your successes going forward.
And one of the things that you'll find when you start getting to transparency is that you don't necessarily need more money, but you can certainly do better with the money that you have.
Yes.
And you're there to ask those questions. I would say play the role of the dope. Make them explain it in terms that you, and therefore your constituents who are paying attention, will understand. And the only other thing I'll say is when I started in this business, I was the size of these two guys, which tells you how long I've been at it. I was a strapping 6'3", 225 when I started. I had a full head of hair. They might wear you down, but they shouldn't wear you out, if, you know. As I think Abe Lincoln said, you know, what is it? If I were to, I just drew a blank. But basically, if I were to answer all of the attacks made on this shop, I might as well close. For if the end brings me out, all right. What was said against me won't matter, and if it doesn't, 10 angels swearing I was right along the way would make no difference. Do what you think is right, and remember, you asked for the responsibility. Exercise it. There's no point in holding the office if you're not going to do what you think the right thing is. Make it about the kids. Ask the questions. Questions are powerful. Ask the questions. And make sure they get answered, and if they don't, ask it again.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I have, well, 3 questions. The first one that I'm going to ask you is, how did you like the content today? The second one is going to be, was there enough time for your input and feedback? And the third one is, whose wallet is this? Sorry.
Obviously, it's a little light.
All right, so content. How many people really liked what happened today? All right, that's cool. How many people felt they had enough time to ask questions? This is the first time that's ever happened. Some people didn't put their hands down, but that was pretty good. And then let's thank everybody. Thank for recording, and for Jan and Don for registration, and Diane for coming early, even though we didn't end up meeting her, Tim for food and everything else he does, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, camaraderie?
Yeah, the camaraderie. That's a good way to put it.
Sorry.
That was facetious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see as a teacher not much.
Crop TV.